everyone, Via here. Well guys, if you watched my last video relating sleep loss with obesity and weight gain, you probably remember me mentioning the 4 possible mechanisms by which a lack of sleep can increase the risk of you gaining weight. And the 4th mechanism was altered timing of intake. And that's what I'm gonna talk a little bit more about today. And I'm also gonna present to you guys the concept of chrononutrition. Have you ever heard about it? If not, you are about to hear. Well guys, let's begin talking about the circadian rhythm or circadian cycle. If you don't know what this is, it's basically our biological or internal timekeeping mechanism that regulates metabolic and physiological processes in order to meet the fluctuating demands of energy use and energy supply throughout the 24 hours in the day. And this rhythm can be synchronized depending on external or environmental changes. For example, it can be adjusted to match local time, food availability, the dark and light cycle, even social contact, and more. And for it to be done, it precisely needs our master pacemaker or our central clock and our peripheral clocks. The master pacemaker is also called suprachiasmatic nucleus. You probably don't need to remember this name, but it's basically localized in our hypothalamus. It's a brain region that you probably have heard before. And this master or central clock, it's very sensitive to the dark and light cycle. And that's why light at night is one of the most powerful chronodisruptors, which means it can lead to a desynchronization between the external environmental cues and our internal physiological processes. And the peripheral clocks are localized in multiple organs, such as liver, gut, pancreas, and etc. And food intake is one of the major external synchronizers of the peripheral clocks. And that's why food availability, food composition, and the distribution of energy across the meals are of major importance, because eating habits can or prevent or promote internal desynchrony. And disrupted clocks can lead to adverse health effects and can impact our overall health and can increase the risk of obesity or even intensify its causes and consequences, and can directly impact our weight loss treatment. Night eating or late eating is associated with dyslipidemia, a decrease of glucose tolerance, an increased risk of metabolic syndrome, and etc. And that's why a change in behavior could potentially minimize or reduce the metabolic risk in people that are considered the evening chronotype, those who go to sleep late at night and rise late in the morning, and can also perform better at evening or night time. And that's why I came to talk a little bit more about chrononutrition. Have you ever heard that saying, eat like a king in the morning, a prince at noon, and a peasant at dinner? Well guys, probably chrononutrition is not that far off of this saying. Chrononutrition is a time-related dietary approach that aims to coordinate the dietary intake, the food intake, with our body daily rhythm. And here I am to talk about some of its tools and strategies for you to start using them right now. First one, have a protein-rich breakfast. This is associated with a decrease of appetite and a decrease of caloric intake at lunch. And it might also be a strategy to reduce appetite at midday, besides being related to alertness. Isn't that what you want in your daily routine? Second one, do not postpone your lunch until late in the evening or late afternoon. There was a study that showed that obese and overweight people that were trying to lose weight, those who had lunch late or after 3 p.m., they lost significantly less weight when compared to early lunchers, in spite of being basically the same age, basically the same caloric intake overall, and etc. Third one, your last meal should be the lightest meal of the day. Your dinner should be the lightest meal of the day. A higher caloric intake at night is associated with a higher blood glucose or sugar and higher insulin. And there was a study that showed that people who had higher caloric intake at night had significantly more or had greater insulin resistance when compared to those who had a higher caloric intake in the morning at breakfast. Fourth, your dinner should be eaten at least 3 hours before the bedtime. There was a study that showed that people who were eating during the 2 hours before bedtime, they had greater incidence of obesity, increased obesity by 5 times. And the last one, have a easily digestible protein source at dinner. This can increase the satiety in people that have evening chronotype. Well guys, not only what we eat, but when we eat have a significant impact in our weight journey. But this is a complex subject. There are a lot of controversies and a lot of things to take into consideration. For example, microbiome and even daily rhythms of microbiome that can regulate our homeostasis. Genetics interactions. It's not everyone that's gonna have the same end result. And there are a lot of other things to take up into consideration, like hormones and nutrients that can also reset our circadian rhythm. But let me summarize everything that I just said. Well guys, light at night is one of the major chronodisruptors. A disrupted clock can lead to adverse health effects and can increase the risk of obesity and metabolic disorders. For your chrononutrition, first, have a protein-rich breakfast at morning to increase satiety. Do not postpone your lunch. Have early lunch before 3 p.m. 3. Your last meal should be the lightest meal of the day and should be eaten at least 3 hours before the bedtime and should include protein that are easily digestible. Well guys, I hope that you like this video. I hope that these strategies are of good use for you, and please, if you start using them, share with me and share what you think about this video. And please stay tuned for the next content because I'm preparing more about dietary approaches and other strategies for sleep hygiene for you to increase your quality of sleep. And follow me in Instagram because there I appear almost every day, and I also share other contents that I do not share here. So please follow me there and here, and I hope to see you in the next video.